A Korean sailor rests from his cargo, sitting in the shade of a sail while smoking a long bamboo pipe. He wears lightweight hemp clothing, circa 1904. Harvey Keitel, Catherine Scorsese, and Martin Scorsese during the filming of Taxi Driver, 1976. A pristine swimming pool with a pavilion under construction, Curly Park, Flint, Michigan, early 1930s. Pope Francis, then Jorge Mario Bergoglio, riding the subway in Argentina. Before becoming Pope, he once worked as a nightclub bouncer. Images from the Church of God with signs following, photographed in the 1960s. Followers believed they were protected while handling venomous snakes and drinking poison, as referenced in Mark 16:17-18. A Chippewa Indian named John Smith, who lived in the woods near Cass Lake, Minnesota, claimed to be 137 years old before dying in 1922. This photo was taken in 1915. On this day in 1982, John Belushi died at 33. Here, he's seen being transported from the Chateau Marmont bungalow, where he died, to the Los Angeles coroner's office. Joseph Kudelka's photographs of Romani life in the 1960s to 70s are absolutely fascinating. A stunning record of a long misunderstood culture. Extras playing corpses on the set of Spartacus were assigned numbers so Stanley Kubrick could direct them individually. Sunset Boulevard, Beverly Hills, 1925. The U.S. Tea Board setting minimum standards for the 8 to 10 types of tea entering the country the following year, February 17, 1947. André Chikatilo during a reenactment of his final murder, 1991. On this day in 1983, Marianna Bachmeier shot and killed Klaus Grabowski in a packed courtroom. Grabowski was a 35-year-old sex offender who had kidnapped and murdered her 7-year-old daughter, Anna. The broken window and blood-stained car door where Viola Luso, a Detroit civil rights worker, was shot dead on March 25, 1965. In 1991, Mexican photographer Antonio Turok captured this solar eclipse from Chiapas, Mexico. For 3 weeks, a Life magazine photographer documented Steve McQueen's daily life, shooting sessions, car races, etc. On May 6, 1930, Ethel Geller Goodim bathed, dressed, and then shot each of her 7 children in the heart before killing herself. Drought refugees from Oklahoma head to Roswell, New Mexico to harvest cotton, 1937. McDonald's founders Richard and Maurice McDonald in front of their restaurant's sign, California, November 1948. Nelson Mandela welcomes Barney the dinosaur on his first trip to Africa, Johannesburg, South Africa, March 24, 1997. Sophia Loren kisses her younger sister, Anna Maria Villani Ciccone, 1955. Meet Brownie Mary, Mary Jane Rathbun, arrested 3 times for baking hash brownies for AIDS patients. Hollywood actress Frances Farmer, arrested in 1943. A tricycle belonging to 3-year-old Shin, who died 15 meters from the Hiroshima atomic bomb hypocenter, 1945. Colleen Stan hugs Cameron Hooker, photographed by Colleen's parents. At the time, Hooker had kept her as a sex slave under his bed for 4 years, letting her out only 1 hour a day. George Harrison and Stevie Nicks, photographed in 1978. Color photographs of Paris's legendary Les Halles Food Market, 1956. Frank Zappa on a tractor, Laurel Canyon, 1968. Joni Mitchell, David Crosby, and Eric Clapton at Cass Elliott's house in Laurel Canyon, late 1960s. Tim Curry and Little Nell from the Rocky Horror Picture Show recreate a Coppertone ad during a trip to Palm Springs, 1974. L.A. gangster Mickey Cohen featured in Life magazine, 1950. Cohen was catnip for news editors and loved attention. Odd for someone running a violent criminal empire. In 1913, Catholic priest Hans Schmidt married his pregnant lover, Anna Aumüller, then beheaded her, dismembered her body, and dumped it in the Hudson River. Playboy Bunnies on Strike, 1975. Archduke Ludwig Victor of Austria, posing in some of his favorite dresses. The openly gay brother of Emperor Franz Joseph, he defied Habsburg family norms. Convicted war criminal Eamon Guth escorted by Polish guards to his sentencing, Krakow, 1946. Striking workers held back by police at the Port Talbot Steelworks picket line, South Wales, 1984. Portrait of Renee Vivian by Otto Wegener, circa 1900. Karl Tanzler was so obsessed with his patient, Elena de Hoyos, that after she died at 22, he stole her corpse and lived with it for 7 years. A relative discovered his secret in 1940. Joseph Mengele, the Angel of Death, posing for a photo, 1944. Meet Deadshot Mary, the NYPD's 4th female detective, credited with over 1,000 arrests. She once took down an armed man using just her purse. A A Mongolian girl laughing with her camel. 5-year-old Budamet photographed by Han Chengli in 2003. Left, wealthy Englishman Roger Tichborne, who disappeared when his ship sank in 1855. Right, Tom Castro, a butcher from Wagga Wagga. Images of preacher Mario Gerner, both as a child and later. Gerner scammed believers for years before exposing the fraud in a documentary. A woman outdoors with an early mobile phone seemingly connected to the leather purse she's holding. From the Larry Foster Collection, Indiana Historical Society. Iceberg Slim, after transitioning from pimp to best-selling author. Lillian Rose Kendall, the bobbed-haired bandit, and Florence Florrie Holmes, members of London's all-female crime syndicate, the 40 Elephants, 1910. New York City Mayor William J. Gaynor, moments after being shot in the throat by James Gallagher, August 9, 1910. Arlene Gottfried, a photographer who didn't receive recognition until her 50s, despite her iconic 1970s to 80s NYC and Coney Island work. Mildred and Richard Loving in 1965, after the Supreme Court overturned their conviction for interracial marriage. The Edelweiss Pirates, 1930s. German teens who rebelled against Nazis with jazz, street fights, sabotage, and even helping deserters. The original Ronald McDonald, 1963. Audrey Hepburn in Breakfast at Tiffany's, 1961. Rita Hayworth cooking at home, circa 1942. Betty Davis, 1930s. Elizabeth Taylor and Montgomery Clift in A Place in the Sun, 1951. Cary Grant and Marilyn Monroe on the set of Monkey Business, 1952. Laurence Olivier and Vivien Leigh. Robert Redford and Meryl Streep in Out of Africa, 1985. Betty Davis and her mother at All About Eve's premiere, Grauman's Chinese Theater, 1950. Olivia de Havilland by George Harrell, 1938. Sophia Loren and her son, Carlo Ponti Jr., at home, photographed by Alfred Eisenstate, 1969. Marilyn Monroe and Arthur Miller. Audrey Hepburn and Humphrey Bogart on the set of Sabrina, 1954. Joanne Woodward and Paul Newman relaxing at home. Elizabeth Taylor with her mother. Young Elizabeth Taylor with a cat. Rita Hayworth on a yacht in The Lady from Shanghai, 1947. Grace Kelly with her mother, Margaret and sister Lizanne, 1954. Grace Kelly relaxing with family and friends aboard the Constitution, April 1956. Hattie McDaniel and Vivian Leigh in Gone with the Wind, 1939. Tom Cruise, Matt Dillon, Patrick Swayze, Ralph Macchio, Emilio Estevez, C. Thomas Howell, and Rob Lowe on the set of The Outsiders, 1983. Lucille Ball, 1935. Paul Newman and Elizabeth Taylor in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, 1958. Dean Martin, Jerry Lewis, and Marilyn Monroe, 1953. Paul Newman and Sophia Loren in a Vogue photo shoot, 1965. Marilyn Monroe and Dale Robertson at a charity baseball game, 1952. Betty Davis, 1930s. Jane Fonda, her brother Peter, father Henry Fonda, and stepmother Susan, holding baby Amy. Johnny Carson at 15, 1940. Joanne Woodward and Paul Newman, 1958. Clint Eastwood washing his car in North Hollywood, California, 1958. Photo by John R. Hamilton. Robert Redford and Bob Woodward en route to the All the President's Men book party, June 1974. Audrey Hepburn arriving at London Airport, 1953. Audrey Hepburn greeting Barbra Streisand after seeing Funny Girl on Broadway, 1964. Mel Ferrer and Audrey Hepburn in War and Peace, 1956. Frank Sinatra and wife Nancy listening to music at home, 1943. Kirk Douglas, Gene Simmons, and Tony Curtis between takes on Spartacus, 1960. Ingrid Bergman and daughter Isabella Rossellini, 1960s. Tom Ewell and Marilyn Monroe in The 7-Year Itch, 1955. Elizabeth Taylor with her cat, James, 1956. Photo by Sanford Roth. Janet Leigh, 1954. Grace Kelly on the set of To Catch a Thief, 1955.